afternoon, everyone. I want to say thank you and welcome to our community meeting. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule and afternoon to come and hear these updates. We wanted to get everybody together, and so we're thankful that you were able to be here. And I would ask Pastor Bowers if he would to give our invitation. Thank you, Pastor Randy. My name is Jason Steen. I represent District 1 for County Council, and I'm also the chairman of Marlboro County Council. We have Mr. Ken Strobin, who represents District 5, and Dr. Damian Johnson, who represents District 2. So we do want to thank these individuals for coming out, our administrators on the end, and we have some of our state staff here along. So first, the purpose of this meeting is to hear firsthand from the state about the status of Old Y Road, which was damaged in 2018's Hurricane Florence and has now been closed for over 3 years. Over these long 3 years, the road closures have caused our citizens inconvenience in travel time and money out of their pocket for fuel. More importantly, these closures has caused significant delays for our EMS, fire, and law enforcement personnel. These delays endanger the safety of our citizens. For 3 years, there have been no official communication or updates on the problem and no progress that of any can see in getting the road back open. Neither Marlboro County Council or county staff have been given updates by the state or our legislative delegation as a formal meeting. There have been a handful of posts on Facebook by Representative Henegan or others that we've been able to communicate, but it comes down second or third hand to everyone. And so we wanted to be where you get it firsthand. We want it to be a firsthand information direct to the people, and that's the reason we're here today. This past spring, I said enough is enough. I sent a Freedom of Information request to the State Department asking for maintenance records for this section of road. 2 weeks later, the Highway Department responded by telling me I had to write the State Public Service Commission for the information, in which I did. Then a couple more weeks passed, and the agency told me I had to write the Highway Department again. And it was like we were getting a runaround from one back to the other. And so finally, after a third letter to the Highway Department, responded and sent me the copies of the maintenance records for that road. These records revealed that the road was damaged and closed in Hurricane Matthew in 2016. For those that lived along that road, y'all remember whenever Hurricane Matthew, there was a part of that road that was washed out then. 2 years before Hurricane Florence. These records show that the Highway Department repaired the road without delay. And also, the first question tonight is, what changed in less than 2 years between Matthew and Florence? All this being said, we do have representatives from the State Highway Department, South Carolina SCDHEC, as well as our state representative, Ms. Pat Henegan, with us today. At this time, I'll turn it over to them for updates and hopefully answers to our questions. We have a good crowd to come out tonight, and so Representative Henegan is our state representative. We'll certainly let you go first, and then followed by SCDOT, and then DHEC. And after that, folks, we'll take questions from the audience. So thank everybody for coming, and Ms. Pat.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the county board, Marlboro County Board, for putting on this meeting. Thank you very, very much. We've had one some years ago. In fact, it was in 2018 that we first met, and it was at the Marlboro Community. We had a large meeting at the Marlboro County Community Center, Bennisville Community Center, a few years ago. to talk about it, and we had Mr. Hutto was one of the ones that were there, along with several others from South Carolina Department of Transportation. But I also want to let you know that Senator Malloy stated that he was not able to be here, so I'm sorry that he could not, but he's out of state right now. I want to thank the local community that had me in their churches, allowed me to come in and share information, and I appreciate that because plenty of you all asked me to come, and I did come to your churches and share information with you all. I also had the opportunity to work with them in McCall when they were working on that bridge, and we had several information that was put in the paper, and that was the way that I was sharing with this community. So I want to thank you. But I want to give a special thanks to Christy Hall. Many people don't realize the work that she has been doing on this also. We have had several conversations, not only that, I have several letters that she sent me because every time we would have an issue, I would call or either write to her, and she would always respond. But I also want to thank John McCain, who's your safety program person with DHEC, because he was in several of those meetings that we had in Columbia, and thank you also. Alan Hutto was one of the others because he was the government liaison, but he's now retired, and Ted Pritchett has his place. And Tony Edwards, SCDOT, as well as Andy Leapart. Andy, thank you for spending hours with me as we would ride those areas to see what was going on with those roads, and being willing to do whatever you could to get people to see that it was necessary for people to, for them to get started, and for DHEC to get some action from the people who own those private dams. To the local community, I thank you all for being here today. I thank you for everything that you all do, because I know that you sincerely care. But I want to share just a few things from letters that I received regarding the roads. And this one came from Christy Hall, who is the Secretary of Transportation. And she said, "Thank you for your phone call today regarding the road closure due to dam breach on Old Rye Road in Wallace and Academy Road. I appreciate you reaching out to me as a follow-up to the multiple meetings you've had with the South Carolina Department of Transportation staff over this complicated issue. I understand your frustration and recognize your passion for the constituents that you serve. The roads that are on top of the dams are there by easement, which means that the property owners gave South Carolina DOT permission to place the asphalt on top of their existing dams for the public roads. The dams themselves are not the property of the state of South Carolina Department of Transportation, but the property of private landowners." And then they gave us two options that we could. We have attempted to resolve this issue for a while and have presented two possible solutions for private landowners regarding these dams. The landowners can repair their privately owned dam by order in order to keep their lakes and their ponds. In this scenario, the landowners make the necessary repairs to the dam with DHEC approval, and SCDOT would then repair or replace the roadway or top and reopen the road. The benefit of this option is that the lake pond is preserved. However, the landowners can abandon their privately owned dam with DHEC approval and allow lake ponds to return to its original creek waterway. In this scenario, the landowners would essentially grant permission to SCDOT to permanently breach the dam by installing a pipe at the low point through the original dam, filling above the pipe with dirt and repairs and replacing the road on top. The benefit of this option is that SCDOT would bear the cost for the piping and road construction. However, this option ultimately permanently breaches the dam, and therefore the landowner loses the lake and the pond. Now, this came from back in I wrote again to her, and I'm going to share that one with you also. Dear Mrs. Hall, this letter is to again bring this serious situation to the Department of Transportation attention. DOT promised the residents that this would be taken care of. However, almost 3 years later, the community is still waiting on the repairs. Ms. Hall, several letters have been sent to you by community leaders. I can tell you one of them went out with over 250 signatures on it because I received a copy of it. There are holes in the road and on the sides of the road. I am fearful that someone may be seriously hurt. This is serious and the residents are at their limit with the promises and no action. Secondly, my concern is that the bridge on Old Y Road at McMeekin Farm is still not accessible. The residents have had to find other routes to enter and exit their community since September 2018. If the people who own the dams are not willing to fix the dam so that DOT can fix the road, I am requesting that you find other measures such as condemning the dam and fix the road. The priority should be making these roads more accessible for travel to work, for school, for medical needs, and church. I am also requesting a written update on the Academy Road project. Thank you for your service to the community, and thank you for your work. And I just wanted to share those with you to let you know we haven't been at a standstill and not doing anything. But the thing is, we can't fix the roads. I can only write letters and meet with them as I have done on several occasions. But it is DHEC and SCDOT's responsibility to do that. It's not even the county council, because they have tried their diligence to be able to send letters to. I have also received information as regard to everyone who owns or have a part in those dams and who own them. And I wrote to them, and I have received replies from several of them wanting to know, why do they have to fix the roads? Why do they have to fix their dams? And that is something that tonight I'm sure that will be discussed. Thank you all. If there are any questions later, I'll be glad to answer them. Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Henegan, for coming out. And up next, we'll have, I guess, Mr. Andy Leapart from SCDOT will be coming up speaking and give us an update.
Good evening. I'm Andy Leapart. I'm the Chief Engineer of Operations for DOT. I appreciate Chairman Steen issuing an invitation for us to be here tonight. And chance to kind of talk about, where we've been. As Representative Henegan said, she stayed engaged with us throughout this process. It's complicated, and there's not yes, no quick answers that we'd all like to see to get the roads open. But to kind of talk through that, I want to make sure that we answer your questions, that we tell you what DOT's role is, and kind of how we interact with DHEC as well as that property owner. And then, as the Chairman said, we'll take questions at the end and try to answer those. Just real quick, along with me tonight, I have Kyle Berry. Kyle is our District 5 Engineering Administrator, so we have pretty much Marlboro to the coast, and he's out of Florence. And then Ashley Sandell is our assistant out of our office, but she's also been our dams person throughout this process. We really got heavily involved with these dams back when we had the great flood of 2015. I will tell y'all, since 2015, we still have a dozen roads closed throughout the state. Representative Henegan gave you some of the background in that it's not uncommon for DOT to own the road, but not to own the dirt that it sits on. And that's what we have in the situation with these dams. As a state agency, DOT cannot impound water for a private purpose. So the ponds that are out here, McNair's Pond or McMeekin's Pond, those ponds are for a private purpose. They don't serve DOT's purpose, so we can't build a dam to hold that water there. Again, we do not impound water for a private purpose. So we have to work with whoever owns those dams to make those repairs. In some instances, it's been like a homeowners association, a community, where in the Columbia area, it hadn't been uncommon for those groups to come together and assess themselves or tax themselves so that they can make repairs to those dams. Other instances, it's been someone who had the means to make the repairs. You know, that dam owner again stood up and made repairs. That's the first option that we most, you know, we all look for. Who's going to fix that dam so DOT can come in and fix the road? The other option is if they abandon that dam. And I would tell you, around the Columbia area, we had one right by a very major highway where that homeowner association came together and said, we don't want our pond anymore, we don't want that liability. So we worked with them to permanently abandon that dam, allow that water to flow through. We'll figure out whatever it takes, whether it's repairing the road or putting in a pipe culvert bridge, whatever it takes to move the water to the other side should they decide to abandon. So the points I want to stress is that we own the road, but we don't own the dirt we're sitting on. And until that owner makes a commitment to either repair the dam or abandon that dam, we're kind of stuck as an agency. I know it's frustrating for those of you who live in that area who are inconvenienced and have to travel around it. Unfortunately, as I said, you're not alone. We still have a dozen of these across the state that are currently closed. So some have chosen to permanently close the road. That's our last option. But again, if we can get a commitment from the dam owner, one way or the other, we'll move forward with repairing the road. We have engineers at DOT as well as engineers that we can bring in to help us expedite this process, and we stand ready when we have that decision to move forward. So I know you specifically talked about Old Wire Road. The bridge itself is not really in bad shape. The bridge is good to go. Kyle's had his inspectors out there and looked at it. The approaches are missing. And, you know, for a bridge engineer to stand back and tell me the bridge is fine, but there's a gap on each side of it. The motor is like, well, that bridge ain't doing me a whole lot of good if I can get to it. But it's not a major bridge replacement job. It's as simple as us going in there and filling it in and building those approaches back. So we feel like we can move quickly. There are always environmental permits and stuff we have to go through. But, you know, it'll take us 6 to 12 months to do that. But before DOT can start their process, we have to get an answer from that landowner. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
We'll be.
After everybody speaks, we'll take questions. I'll make sure we get that.
Mr. Chairman, I think, you know, that's kind of the DOT, you know, position on where we are. But again, we'll be here to answer those questions and try to work with you. I'm gonna turn it over now to DHEC. I think John McCain's gonna speak on DHEC and where they are in the process with the dam owners.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for inviting us here. We're glad to be able to provide this information. I wish this had, to be able to provide this should have been done sooner. I admit that, but we are happy now to be able to speak directly to you. So here, I represent the Dam Safety Program with South Carolina DHEC. With me is Ann Clark, who is also with our Bureau of Water. She's the Assistant Bureau Chief for that bureau at DHEC. And we, like Andy said, we as a regulatory agency, we regulate dams, and the dams that we're here about are subject to our regulations. Not every dam in the state is subject to regulation, but when a dam is subject to regulation, that means it's subject to you have to get a permit to do work on a dam, which means you also have to get an engineer to help prepare a permit application to make sure that the repairs to the dam are done properly. That's one of the reasons you can't just go in and dump a bunch of dirt into a hole and pave over it and say that's a day. You can't call, it's not that simple. It's also an expensive process generally to repair a dam. And that's part of the reason it's taken as long as it has to get to this point. We have been working very closely with the owners of both dams. I am happy to report that the dam on Academy Road is proceeding. A lot has happened in recent weeks, and to see that dam, to see that situation starting to move in a good, positive direction. And I'll talk about that some more. But the McMeekins Dam on Old Wire Road, unfortunately, has not had as much positive movement in the recent weeks. But we have taken an action that is in accordance with our process that we hope will bring a conclusion to that situation. So I guess I'll go into some details on that. Regarding, let's start with the good news. So the Academy Road Dam, which we call McNair's Mill Pond Dam, I think about a month ago, the property that dam sits on was deeded to the Pine Grove United Methodist Church. And now that the Pine Grove Methodist Church owns the majority of that dam, that allows for funds from the Love Family Foundation to go towards the repair of that dam. They have an engineer that's involved. The design work has already begun. I've just this week received some initial engineering calculations and reports that we're already starting to review. And I am optimistic that process will conclude within the next few months, where we will have a permit to repair the dam, and then the construction to do that can begin. I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel for that one. So, very good reason to be hopeful there. Now for the McMeekins Dam, the Old Wire Road Dam, part of the problem there is, like Andy said, Andy Leapart, that the DOT does not own the soil beneath the dam, and in this case, the soil is all gone. It's essentially breached. So that falls to the owners of the dam to either make a decision to repair that dam or to essentially abandon having a dam and having a pond. To date, we have not been successful with who we believe to be the owners of the dam accepting that ownership and being able to make that decision. So on September 29th, we issued what's called an inspection and repair order, which essentially is our process within DHEC to see that the dam owners have to make a decision and have to choose a path for resolution. And that is a legal document that we will pursue through legal means to the South Carolina Administrative Law Court if necessary, both for resolving the ownership question and for requiring the owners to make a decision as to repairing or removing the dam. Both options would allow the road to be reopened. And I believe that's I will say that with the order, the inspection and repair order, there is a time frame associated with that order, and it was issued on September 29th of this year, and if nothing has been done or received from the owners by the end of the year, then we are authorized to take that we will pursue that in the court of law. So I think that's all I have.
Thank you both for the updates there. I know there's a lot of questions. We fielded questions throughout the the years, and I know council members have fielded questions throughout the years. So, but up first, we'll take some questions from the audience. And Miss Mia, I know she's contacted me numerous times, and so Administrator, if you will, whenever you want to talk, he'll bring you the mic so we can hear, and so whoever it's directed to, we'll kind of know exactly who can address that information.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm just wondering about the conversations you've had with the owner. I mean, why has it taken 3 years for the owner to make up their mind whether or not they want to turn that property over to the state or not? Or repair the dam?
Yeah, save you some. Okay. We'll turn it on. Okay.
Financial consideration. Are they going to be able to get the funds? And I mentioned that some homeowners associations had kind of gotten together and agreed to tax themselves. In some cases, it's only one or two dam owners, and it's a big expense. And so they've looked for ways to fund it, and there are no laws to push a time frame on them.
Right, so by the end of the year, if we have not heard from the owner, the state will sue the owner, is that correct?
I'm going to turn this over to SCDHEC, let John answer that.
So, okay. First off, that's only this dam.
I'm only concerned about Old Wire.
Okay, well, to answer your question, that is this dam we're referring to. An order was issued, which again is a legal document that has requirements with time frames established. If there are two requirements under that order, within 60 days of issuance, you must have had an engineer perform a detailed inspection of the dam and essentially know to understand all the deficiencies, everything that's wrong with the dam. 60 days. 90 days is to have a permit application submitted to SCDHEC to correct all of those deficiencies. So that puts it at December 29th, 2021 to have that permit application submitted to SCDHEC. If we don't have it by that date, they are in violation of the order, and our next step is to petition the administrative law court for enforcement of that order. At that point, you know, it goes to court. It's that's where the lawyers get involved.
So potentially this could go on for the next 2 or 3 years.
When it goes to court, yes, it's not within our control. We have seen more expedient resolution in the administrative law court than in other courts, but it could. I mean, I'll be very honest. It could go on indefinitely.
That's not good. Yeah, I mean, this has been going on now since Florence. So, you know, what has prevented us, I guess I really shouldn't talk about what didn't happen as opposed to what will happen in the future. But, you know, if you roll this back, you know, that petition should have been dealt with a couple of years ago. And then we would at least be at least seeing a light at the end of the tunnel now. But as it turns out, we have nothing, and we've got some serious issues on Old Wire Road for this situation.
Correct. That's why we had the meeting called tonight, so we can find questions from here forward. I agree with you. Why did it take till September 29th of this year to send that letter? So that's a question that would be from us, is why did it take from Hurricane Florence until September 29th of this year to send the letter?
Is eminent domain applicable here?
I'd have to, you have to let them, I mean, I can't.
Is eminent domain applicable? It could be. I will tell you that throughout this process, and we had hundreds of roads closed when we had the big floods and after some of these storms. And, you know, obviously safety's first, you know, secure the road and then get them reopened as soon as possible. We have not, as an agency, and that has been our decision, not to employ eminent domain and take somebody's property. We take that very seriously, and, you know, there's pros and cons to how you act on that. And the con is you end up sometimes with these roads being closed for several years. And as I told you, we've still got a dozen closed. But as an agency, we have not taken that action in any of these dam roads.
Well, in all due respect, I certainly can understand that, but when you weigh the issues that we're having to deal with compared to the fact that nobody lives in that area, you know, I mean, you can't even fish in the area. You know, why wouldn't we look at something, an option, a little bit more, that would give us more options, like eminent domain?
Yes, ma'am. Again, we have made that decision not to do that.
Perhaps, she's got one right here.
My name's Earlene Little, and I've written several times to Mr. McCain, to Tony Edwards, and some of the others concerning the same this matter. I remember last year in August, we were told that everyone involved had already signed, and that construction would start sometime in March of 2020. So I want to know exactly what happened with that, and I think I need to direct this to John McCain and Tony Edwards, because the last time, like I said, when I called and you all said that, and you're going to get the engineers involved, and we would have some kind of regulation, but this did not happen. So again, like Mia said earlier, what happened for 3 years about the letter, because I said before that we need to have something in writing. So now I'm hearing that in September of this year that the letter just went out in writing, and this was told to me 2 years ago, that you're going to do this, and we would have been further along than what we are now. So this is really a concern of mine. And if we cannot get, and I also heard that the owners said no, they would not repair that road. Now, I don't think I'm the only one who heard this. So it's already been stated that they would not repair the road. And so I want to know what in the future for us with that. And hearing that you're saying it's going to be a year probably or more before something is done, it's a big concern to me, because we've been going over this for, you know, a long time. And I just want to know, you know, some actions. And another question is, do we have any monies available? I know they're talking about infrastructure and different things that's going to be done in Marlboro County. Do we have money available where we can do some type of alternative, you know, instead of doing this road here? Do we have any other alternatives?
Okay, I heard several things. I'll try to address them all. So number one, it sounded like you said that we had communicated that there was construction about to begin, that everything had been signed in August of 2020. So what was going on about that time is we were trying to work cooperatively with the owners. We with DOT, we made an offer that if the owners were willing to sign their approval or their agreement to let DOT basically remove the dam, or what we call decommission the dam, so it's no longer a regulated dam, that DOT would do that work and reopen the roadway at no expense to the dam owner. So that was what we were trying to do, trying to stay out of court, trying to do it in a very cooperative, proactive manner, you know, to but and I don't know if Andy wants to speak to that. There is a DOT does require a legal document to be signed by the owners that says I am the dam owner and I give DOT permission to essentially remove my dam and the ability to impound water. We had one owner that did sign that. The other owner would not. So, yeah, we're still talking about this one. So, I don't know. At that time, I may have still have been optimistic that we would get both signatures and that we would be moving quickly to construction and reopening the road. But that did not pan out. I do know we had subsequent conversations, and I talked to you about the issuance of an order, and that did not. We weren't able to issue it when I told you we would, because unfortunately there are a lot of other dams in the state with severe issues, and so it took longer than I expected to get to be able to issue the order for this dam, but it was issued in September. And I don't. The last question was about funds, additional funds, or did I miss anything? Well,
as far as what you're asking about funding, no funds that we're aware of. Again, that is private property, and as a DOT, we can't go in there and spend public funds on private property. So no funds that I'm aware of, and we have not discussed alternate routes. No, ma'am. It could be, but a lot of this would come up, more from a local level and how you would prioritize it. The biggest thing that's working against you folks is that it's a tremendous detour. I think it's about 13 miles that you're having to drive around. That's what's drawing a lot of attention to it. From a traffic standpoint, which is a major factor of how we evaluate roads and how our funds get spent, there's 375 cars a day on the road. That's low for what we look at. So it would be tough for, ma'am. No, ma'am. Those are pre-closure numbers. Those are pre-closure numbers. So it's tough when you start stacking up your projects to say a road that doesn't have a lot of traffic is going to get that kind of funding.
Y'all say y'all working with the dam owner. Dam owner has to make that decision. But concerning the fact I live on Old Y Road on the other side of between Ebenezer, with as many robberies, backhoes, lawnmowers, trailer homes, cars being stolen, people being broken into. It is bad up there now. And one person is putting everybody else's life in danger. If there is a fire on Ebenezer and Old Y Road, Mia, half these people gonna be gone, because we have no way out. None at all. It is a danger. It's a one road in, one road out. People from North Carolina, I seen a trailer being taken away. My cousin, then on the other side of me, the car. Then over there, a car, a Bobcat. This is just between Ebenezer Road and Harrington Road. So many things been stolen. So many places been. I'm scared to sit outside my house because there's no traffic going back and forth. There's nothing. And dumping. The whole quality of living up there has changed as long as that road is out. So with that being said, can the citizens itself bring some kind of lawsuit against the dam owner or anything? Do we have the right? Since y'all can't do it, can we push it by doing not petition, but like it's some kind of push on the owner itself to let him know his decision is not making nobody else any good. If you got it, do it. If you don't have it, walk away.
Yes, ma'am. I can't answer that question from a legal standpoint. I don't know if the county has anybody here or not. I could not answer that.
Hello. My question is about obviously, you have to get the property owner to agree on the dam issue, right? To be able to go back and fill in dirt and put pavement there. Is there an alternative to build up higher so that you don't have to even worry about the dam? Because this dam, or the dam owner or whoever, it shouldn't be allowed to just restrict traffic on a highway that's always been there because they don't want to repair the dam. Maybe there's financial something to consider here. Maybe there's something else where they don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to have an engineer and have a dam rebuilt because of a natural disaster. I'm sure insurance doesn't cover that. But there's got to be an alternative here, because the alternatives that you guys have given is court or the landowner agrees. If there's got to be a third option here, and people need to get by that bridge for ambulances. We don't have a hospital in this county. Everyone in this county has to go out to another county to go to a hospital. And with that road being out and taking somebody on a 13-mile detour, I'm quite sure that somebody from SCDOT, if their mother lived on the other side of that road, that bridge would be repaired. My mother lives on the other side of that road. My mother lives on the other side of that road. So when she has to go to McLeod-Sherrall, and they have to go all the way down to 177 and come all the way back, minutes count, especially in a critical access hospital in a community. So 375 cars a day, one of those cars is an ambulance, another one is a sheriff's car, another one is a fire truck. So something's got to happen here. I mean, you guys have got to be able to build up and over or something. I mean, this has been stagnant for 3 years. I left here 10 years ago, came back, and for the last 3 years, nothing's happened on this bridge. I just can't believe this. This is crazy.
So first question you asked was, could we just build up and over? No matter what we do, we still have to touch that dam. So, we go higher, but again, at some point we've got to touch the ground. We've got to contact that dam. So that is an issue even as we move forward. How does that bridge or whatever affect that dam unless they put it back exactly how it is? Which if he goes in and fixes his dam, and I know earlier you said that the property owner was not going to repair the road. Not asking him to touch the road. He just has to fix his dam. As far as if my mom lived there, I understand, and that's the first thing Representative Henegan brought me down here and drove me to one side and made me ride with her all the way back around to the other side so we could, so I could experience the detour and feel how long it is, and I get it. I will tell you, in the Columbia area, we had one that was adjacent to a U.S. congressman's house, and until that dam owner got together and gave us the permissions we needed to make the repairs, that thing stayed closed for about 4.5 years. So it doesn't matter who lives there. We're all upheld to the same law. But again, there's no option to go over it. We're going to touch that dam in some way. We're looking for that dam owner to give us permission to either tell us he's going to fix it, which is where we're at with DHEC, or he's going to abandon it. He abandons it, we'll take care of the rest to get the road reopened.
I would like to know, what's the cost to repair the dam?
It's hard to put an exact number on it, but it's it's an expensive thing. I mean, no doubt about it. Working with an engineer, a licensed professional engineer, is expensive. The construction to repair it is even more expensive. I'm scared to put a number to it. I'm thinking oh gosh. Okay.
And it's estimated for this one between 100,000 and $500,000. We have set the money aside for it, and we're like Mr. McCain said, because he's been very helpful to us throughout this whole time. As soon as they give us what we need to do it, we will hire the company to come in and get it done. And I would like to say something while I'm standing up. We already know we don't have to worry about this. It's just a matter of getting what we need to get it done. There's one solution I have not heard on this one yet, though. Why don't we get with the owner and see if he'd be willing to simply do what we did, because we've already proven it'll work. Well, what we did was the Adamsville Fishing Club owned it previously, and we got with them to help out the community, because it hurts us too. Because a lot of people come to the church, travel that road, and they had to go all the way around to get to church. So what we did was take it over, and then we joined with the Love Foundation, because they can only give grants and money to 501c3s. And once we got that, like Mr. McCain said, we hired an engineer, and we presented a plan just about 3 weeks ago, I believe it was. Mr. McCain sent someone out to meet us there on the bridge. We went over it. I believe he stated he got our paperwork or part of it. And that's basically what we did. And we'd be happy to get involved and facilitate and work with the owner and show him exactly what we did and how to do it. He has to be willing. I'm not going to preach a sermon, but the Bible's clear. When good people come together for the same cause and are willing to give and take, we can accomplish anything. And we simply have to give and take from both sides.
I got a couple of questions, saying one answer may lead to the next one. But you're saying that there are multiple property owners for this dam, and I hear a lot of harping on the one property owner who's not doing anything, the other one has. How much are we talking? 50-50 they own for the dam? One property owns 50%, and the other one owns 50%. If not, and the other one has waived their rights to it, then why don't we just go around the one that doesn't want to do anything with this dam? If they've waived, the right, then why can we not do that? Why is that not an option?
So usually, okay, so yes, it's my understanding of the ownership is the upstream half of the dam, essentially from the center line upstream, is owned by one owner, and from the center line downstream is owned by a different owner. So it's pretty close to 50-50 ownership. And what you're saying, we generally don't we generally treat the owners as one unit. We generally don't want work being done on one part of the dam where the other owner or the other part of the dam is not also involved and on board with it. That can lead to a lot of problems. If they're not treated as a whole, you can have it can be problematic. If you're talking purely about the roadway, I probably can't really comment on that. But as far as repairing this dam, you can't just repair half a dam essentially.
To going around the dam to the owner that has waived their rights.
If you're talking about the roadway,
I mean, if they've waived their rights and allowed you to take over their portion of the dam, then why not fix their portion and add 50% if they've waived? even if they waive their rights? I thought that's what you said. But the whole dam's not repaired. You're only repairing on the side of the owner that has
Yes, ma'am,
waived his rights already.
But it's one dam, and it doesn't matter if it's 50-50, 70-30, till they fix the entire dam, we can't do work.
And again, he's saying, it's as a whole, but they're two different individuals. They're not a whole. I mean, they're not.
But they own the whole.
And I'm also looking at your GIS map there that shows that the cutoff is on the roadway, that they only own up to the roadway, not the dam itself.
And that's likely not accurate, but that's not uncommon that we, as I mentioned, we had a lot of dams got washed out during these hurricanes and floods we've had in the past 5-6 years. Many times, the owners don't acknowledge or realize they own it. Property has transferred several times. It's been sold. It's moved down families. And, my daddy only told me I owned up to the edge of the road. And actually, no, sir, you owned it all the way to the other side of your dam. And so it has not been uncommon that we have learned, and we've all learned a lot throughout these past 5 and 6 years with these dams, in that it's not recorded, it's not documented in a lot of areas who owns the whole dam. It helps us as a DOT when DHEC is involved, because they have been regulating that dam. We have a lot of unregulated dams in this state. That makes it even more complicated. But with them having authority over a dam like the one we're talking about on Old Wire Road, we are able to identify those property owners. It takes time, and that's part of that time that it's taken us to get to this point and issue that order, is to identify those owners. But you're correct in saying sometimes it doesn't show on these property maps, but our DOT records only show that we're there by easement, which means we have permission to build and maintain a road on top, but we don't own what's under it. And again, we can't impound water. So if we owned that dam, then we'd poke a hole in it, put a pipe or a bridge over it, and rock and roll. But we can't do that.
So you mean to tell me in a regular roadway like on Old Wire Road, just right after it's at the school, that the school owns to the center line of the road? And if there's a pothole, then they're responsible for that dirt underneath
Never
that
said
asphalt.
that. I just
then
said,
why are they responsible?
No,
for
ma'am.
the dam?
Again, I said it. We build and maintain roads and bridges. So if there's a road there, whether we're there by a deed where we own it, or we're there by an easement, like we are in the case over the top of these dams, we'll repair the road.
And you have written easements for them?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, my name is Christopher, and I'm wondering, what can we do? Can you just put down a pipe and do away with the dam? Lay pipes to run the water under the road?
So if they elect to abandon it, that's where we'll kick in and, again, work through DHEC through their process. But we'll have an engineering study to tell us, does it take a pipe, does it take a culvert, or do we have to build a bridge? We'll move the water under the road if, because there's a stream there that they have dammed up to build that pond. But we'll figure out how to move the water to the other side. We just need the permission to do it.
They already abandoned it.
Sir?
Look like it's already been abandoned.
I agree with you that it looks that way. Yes, sir. I agree.
Another question. I just want to know, have you all had a face-to-face interview or talk with the owners at all? Or it's all been correspondence? And yes, and are they local? Because I understand they're not here. With the pastor here, I think that would be a good idea, that we at least could be working in that way with the 5013C to see what we can come up with that aspect as well.
All right, first question. So I can get this. So yes, we have spoken directly with all the owners involved with this dam, not face to face, over the phone. I will actually, let me correct that. When DHEC, not myself, but one of our regional staff met at the dam with both owners face to face. And that was probably back in July, I want to say. That was a necessary step for us to issue the order. So we did meet face to face with them, but I have had multiple conversations with both owners. So has DOT. I really don't, I don't want to comment on whether they're local or not. But I think regarding the last question, I do want to add that the specifics of this dam is very different circumstances, and I don't know if the funds for this dam are coming from the Love Family Foundation. I don't think the same can be. I don't think it's apples to apples. I don't think the foundation would have to decide to do the same here in this situation. It's hard to find grants for privately owned dams, and basically it's a pond that serves a private benefit, not a public benefit. It's hard to find grants for that kind of thing. For exactly what happened here, it had to be owned by a 501c3. So if this were to become owned by a 501c3, that could change things. But that's not the current, that's not the situation current.
Yes, I had, I guess, two questions. But for the Academy Road, it's kind of a narrow question, but let's say we get to the point and this approval process is working. Is there some kind of iterative approval process where we'll let material get moved to the site in stages so that it's not just waiting? Like if they get to a point where the engineer signs off on a certain portion, can they start doing this in steps so that we see some progress, so it's not just wait until the end? I don't know, just something where we can overlap some of the steps, even if it's like some of the emergency.
I think there are some approvals we can grant before a permit is issued. One thing we're going to need is the trees on the dam are a problem. A lot of the trees are going to need to be removed. And any kind of site preparation, putting up erosion control, sediment and erosion control measures. There's a lot that can be done before that permit is actually issued, but we're not going to let anyone go digging into the dam itself until that permit is issued. But yes, that is a conversation we can have with the owner of the dam, which is the Pine Grove Methodist Church, and the engineer that's handling the permitting.
How did the state get themselves involved? We can have a lot of roads. Building roads over on other people's land and don't have no control over it.
That's a great question. I will tell you that as a DOT, and we all know we're not the biggest state in the country. We're a small, kind of largely rural state. In South Carolina, we have the 4th largest state maintained highway system in the whole country. And the reason is why there were a lot of roads brought into the state system. It was called a Beltline Act, and it was late 60s, early 70s, and the state took those roads into the system and agreed to maintain it. I will tell you, and again, I said we've had a lot of experience with dams the past couple of years. We took in dirt roads that were one-lane dirt roads on top of a dam. At some point, we went in there, we filled in the back half of it and made it a 2-lane paved road. And so that's been a challenge for us with these dams. Where does the dam start and the road stop? But we all love our state. I've lived here my whole life, and how we came up, our state took those roads into state control, and now we're paying the price for some of those decisions made 40, 50 years ago. So it's not ideal, but you know, we rely on these roads. You guys are telling me how much you rely on that road, and if we didn't take those roads, where would it be? Again, this one's shut. I get the inconvenience. The one I mentioned in Columbia about a congressman's house, that one had over 3,000 cars a day on it. It was a major impact when it shut down. And again, it took us the better part of 5 years to get it open. So we see the impacts, but how we got there, again, those decisions have been made. It's why in most other states, you don't see a DOT maintaining the roads that lead to your house. Those last little, what we like to call neighborhood streets. We got a lot of miles of those in our state. So out of our 40,000 miles, there's nearly 20,000 of just those little roads that are typically maintained by either a county or a city government. So we got there, decisions were made that was in the best interest of our state at that time. Now here we are 40, 50 years later, and we're paying the price for some of that. But our legislature has been very supportive of us the last few years. Our funding's gone up, and we're starting to make a dent in the problems we've had, and you know, we're able to fund some of this. So we're definitely on the right path. We've had a lot of support, but how we got there is kind of it is a tough decision.
Nick Haley went out about 6 months before Nick Haley went out. She got on TV and she said we had plenty of money to fix the road with, plus a surplus. Well, back in May, Governor Master said the same thing. I'm just wondering what's going on.
Well, we have been very fortunate, as I'm sure you're all aware, to get an increase in our gas tax. So I'm gonna tell you, and I graduated high school in 1987. I went to Clemson. I worked at DOT almost 28 years, and in that time, there was no increase in the funding for our roads and bridges. So we're digging out of basically about a 35-year-old hole, and it's gonna take time. But again, our legislature now has seen fit to give us those funds. You mentioned some of the infrastructure money that Washington's talking about. We are actively taking all we can and putting everything on the road to fix these roads. So it's just like we're talking about with this dam. Y'all got to it pretty quick. What's the solution? Gotta have some money, and we need money to fix roads just like they need money to fix that dam.
Hey, Jason, I guess this is a question for you. Is there a county option that the county can work with the property owners and either take over this property or this dam and maintain it since it's affecting county residents if the state doesn't have, I mean, we've been dealing with this for 3 years. I mean, something should have been done by now. Like, why are we waiting on these people to make a decision in 2021? So is there anything the county can do with county tax dollars to buy this property, take it over, build a dam or something, since DHEC and SCDOT can't?
The first question would be, we have $11 million budget. There was billions of dollars of surplus with the state budget. So that would answer a short no, the county cannot. We don't take on any more roads. What we have is a tax. That's how we get revenue from our citizens. So, is a tax. And so, without taxing everybody to death, no, you still can't put county funds on a private property. So no matter what, I guess my question would be to Mr. Andy is, in October the 17th of 2016, we have a work order from my records from Department of FOIA with the state is there was a repair done on that road for this work order to the dam then. And the very first question is, what's the difference between then and now?
Yeah, I'll answer that. Is when we were hit with the first flood in like 2016, our first concern was getting the roads open as quickly as possible. And our crews hit the ground running. And I was trying to remember when you asked that question earlier. I couldn't remember if and they start running together. I can't remember if US 1 was washed out in 16 or if it happened in 18. I think it was in 18? Okay. But you know, our staff went in and we were trying to fix, our local staff, which I work with, but we were trying to fix everything as quickly as possible and get the roads open because, you know, our staff lives here and works here. So we didn't understand, you know, the nuances and the background on what was a dam and what wasn't. All we knew was we had to get the roads open. But since then, unfortunately, you know, it's been a tough process because, you know, when the next storm hit, you know, our staff here locally, we realized at that point that you had these mill ponds and these were regulated dams. So the repairs that we did, they didn't meet DHEC standards for a dam. So rightly or wrongly, I feel like, you know, at that point the ox was in the ditch. So we did it, we fixed it to get the road open. But then, you know, 2018 hit and we realized that we were making repairs to dams, and, you know, not to get into the weeds, but, you know, when you know, with DHEC, you know, I'm a road engineer, building bridges and roads, and I can't stamp a dam or permit one or do a design. I don't have experience doing it, because they have, you know, they have a clay core. They have to be designed to hold back a certain amount of water and have to be designed, and that's out of my purview and out of a transportation engineer's purview. So we, rightly or wrongly, to address that, we probably did something that we shouldn't have done. But we got it open, and then unfortunately the same place blew out, and it blew out, and more areas were damaged. But that's the reason, and that's the answer for the repairs in 2016 as opposed to 2018.
I guess the other question would be, there's some other repairs to the, you know, whenever you said the ox was in the ditch, I know the pastor would probably preach a sermon on that one, but, you know, it's, you know, from those 2 years, I think the ox is still in the ditch. Even here, and there's different, you know, finding out there's more stuff to it. You know, there's other things where there's a repair in the road near the head wall. I mean, I remember the, you know, the whole coming in the road, and I traveled it every day, that, you know, we called and they stopped it and dug it up, you know, and repaired it, you know. So I guess the question would be is, it seems like there's, if you set precedent to do it at least one time, could there be some legislation put in place that all the dams that's out now in the state, could, with billions of dollars of state surplus money, could there be a legislation put in to say these roads create a, you know, for the public, I mean, I guess for the public use, we can repair these at a one-time thing. Would that have been an option?
The legislature went through, and that was again kind of what took so long to get things rolling forward. They looked very hard at what they could do. At the end of the day, they could not pass anything that would help us make these repairs. They had several options of, you know, basically kind of what you were alluding to earlier, of saying, all right, Mr. Dam Owner, you got 90 days, tell us what you're going to do. And it couldn't go anywhere, you know, because there impacts that. It starts impacting some farm ponds and things like that, so it backed off. Back to what Kyle said, he's right. We had instances where our crews may have been, I'm going to say, overeager, overzealous, and went out and made some repairs. Now, there's going to be repairs on a road, on a dam, that don't touch the dam. You know, there's back to the question, as Kyle mentioned, a dam has a different type material than what we build a road out of. So we're going to work in that roadway material, and we could be on top of that dam doing so. There may be instances where we made mistakes in the past and we touched the dam, and obviously those repairs didn't hold up. And that's the reason why DHEC has the authority to make sure those repairs are proper, and we don't have the experience. Now, Kyle mentioned, you know, he and I, and actually we all work roadway stuff. We're not dam engineers, and that's been the running joke throughout this. When you tell people DOT doesn't have dam engineers, everybody raises their hand and says, I disagree. Y'all got a lot of dam engineers over there. But, you know, to his point is that is not our expertise, and that's why it takes DHEC, and then typically that dam owner hiring a consultant, somebody with experience building ponds and dams. And we heard it a lot. Well, that pond and that dam was built 75 years ago by a guy with his tractor and no engineering degree. And my answer was always, and that's why we're here today. You know, it didn't meet the specs or the standards that we needed.
A quick question, just by looking at the OY Road one. It has a large spillway for the bridge, and I think the bridge inspection through my work order, I mean, the bridge was fine. So with that spillway, if the spillway was removed, which is, it's a metal spillway in the front of it, very familiar with that spillway for years from fire rescue, from wrecks and different things in there. If the spillway metal was moved out, could the state put enough dirt on both sides of it to open the road up and ask the landowner, before you can put water back in it, you have to submit a plan and approved spillway is there enough flow for that bridge to take care of the water there? Does that make sense? For that spillway?
I think what you're getting at is could the dam essentially, could DHEC say it doesn't qualify as a regulated dam? Most of the embankment would remain, but there'd be a large enough opening in the dam to convey, large flows, like big rainfall events.
At the bridge.
Whether it's a bridge, yes. I mean, so what you're talking about is something that is possible. It would result in us saying the dam is either, it's exempt from regulation, essentially. And at that point, it's no longer a regulated dam. The state Dams and Reservoir Safety Act has no longer applies. At that point, it's purely between DOT and the property owner, whether it's a bridge or however that. But what we need to get to that point is an engineer to say, this is how big the opening needs to be to essentially be exempt from regulation. And even that's something we can't get. If we could just get that, that would allow us to say it's not regulated.
I don't mean to cut. Where can't we get it from? I guess is the question.
That's the owner's responsibility to justify that the dam is exempt from regulation.
I'm getting back to the bridge. I guess, I don't want to do a back and forth, but I guess it would be the bridge. The spillway at the bridge is what considers it to be a pond, correct? Other than that, it's just a roadbed with a bridge over it.
What makes it a regulated dam is it has to be any dam that is one of three things: 25 feet in height, which this is not that tall, has the ability to impound 50 acre feet of water, and that's acre feet, so that's a volume. It's not just 50 acres, or any dam that, if it were to fail, could cause loss of life. And once a dam is regulated, to be to no longer be regulated, you have to breach it with a breach that has been sized properly. And right now, we can't say that breach is large enough for us to remove the dam from regulation. Well, that's one of the things that the order will allow.
Well, that's a question I was going to ask is, what are you asking for with your order? It really wasn't clear. Are you asking for them to fix it, or you're going to declare it abandoned? Is that what you're doing?
The order says within 60 days, you have to hire an engineer to do a detailed inspection and basically figure out everything wrong with this dam. And then within an additional 30 days, submit a permit application to either repair the dam or to decommission the dam. Basically no longer have a regulated dam.
So that's the or, is either do this or we'll say that this is not a dam anymore.
Right.
Okay, well, in my opinion, it's kind of like we're going about it backwards. It would seem to me that we fix the road and then tell them you can't dam this anymore. instead of fix it and then we'll fix the road. And, you know, those of us who live in the county have seen Level Green Church Road, David's Pond Road. Both of those had huge, they probably were mill ponds at some point. Huge, they're structured like this. The roadway was raised and the highway department put in these double big box culverts. And I assume that the dam engineer said that that was enough. So, you know, from our perspective, citizens in the county, it's backwards. It should be, we're going to fix this road and you better not dam it back up or we'll go to court, instead of fix the dam and then we'll fix the road. And I understand, you know, no government wants to use eminent domain. And if you don't know what that is, it's saying there's a public reason why we're going to force you to move out of the way. Nobody wants to do that. But, you know, if this is being viewed on a priority basis as you view everything in the state, it is going to be viewed differently here with a low car count than Woodruff Road or Two Notch Road or something like that. So yeah, I'm probably not supposed to be the one talking, but that's the concern I have, is fix it and tell them don't dam it back up and let's move on.
Just to that idea, I'll say this. The water's still there. Water's still coming through. We're not going to open a road that could put you in jeopardy of it washing out at any minute.
Yeah.
There's still water. There's still active water there. And so we are not going to open a road where it could just be gone at any minute. And I will tell you, and we had one in the Columbia area, a guy hired a contractor. The contractor went in there and repaired the road, took down the barricades and opened it up. And the mayor called me. He said, your barricade's sitting over here behind City Hall. We went out there and looked at it, and next storm came through. Guess what happened? It fell right back off in the creek. Oh, absolutely you do. I understand. And that is why Representative Henegan had us up here. Yes, ma'am, we understand that. Yes, ma'am, we understand that. But reopening a road that it could still remain a danger is not an option.
Andy, does your easement, so if it is decommissioned or whatever.
I don't think the administrator was saying fix a road and make it unsafe. What he was saying was do exactly what you said that you would do. You would put a barrel through it and put the water
Right.
through.
Once we have that permission, and we do not have that permission.
You don't need permission. You took land from my family. You took land from probably a lot of these people's family. You don't need it.
Yes, sir. We could, again, we have not used eminent domain. We have not. Yes, ma'am. I understand.
I was going to follow up with something, and we need to start passing the mic around again, because I know I spoke up without raising my hand, but if it's decommissioned or declared abandoned, does your easement that the highway department has allow you to modify that area? You know, can you put a bigger span of a bridge or more culverts on it? Can you do that once DHEC? I mean, we can dance around the room, but DHEC's telling you can't fix it. So if DHEC says, okay, go at it, is the substrate of the road sufficient that you can go and then put more of the span in or a couple more boxes under it? And
again, it'll take an engineering study to determine where's that stream bed, where's that.
I understand that.
Return it to nature, and then what does it take
Yeah.
to move it? Sometimes it's a simple pipe, sometimes it's a big box culvert like you mentioned, and then sometimes it's a bridge.
My question is, I get all that, and we're kind of round in circles here. Do you have the authority under the easement, Kyle, to to do what you need to do once you know what you need to do? Or has that got to go through, some legal process?
No, we've got the ability to do that once we get that
Okay,
permission.
so the answer to the question is that once you know if it's no longer a dam, is this loud, y'all? Can you turn me down a little bit? Because I talk loud. If it's, okay, it's not a dam anymore, and DHEC says have at it, y'all feel comfortable that your easement would allow you to modify that road bed to let the water, based on an engineering study, flow through? Okay, so you don't need any more permission to do that once the dam regulation is out of it.
Yes, sir. We're prepared at this point. We've got a geotech engineer already on board that's, they're prepared to do soil borings. If we have to go at a longer span bridge, if we have to put it in a culvert, whatever we have to do, we're prepared to do that. And we've got an on-call design engineer for a bridge or culvert or a structure that's ready to go. And y'all live around here in Darlington. They're doing the repair at Bethea Road now. So what we did there is we entered into an agreement with the Bethea home, and they're paying for the repairs to the dam. We entered into an agreement with them to expedite the process. We just said, look, we figured up an estimate of what it would cost to repair the roadway portion, to get it done and get it open as soon as possible. That's incorporated into one contract, so we could do it that way, or we could do it in-house, just depending on as far as the asphalt tie-in and stuff. But we're prepared to move forward. We just need to need that ability to move forward.
Yeah, I guess if the back half of the dam owner has relinquished part of the dam, that would allow you to go off the back part. I guess what Mr. Mullen was saying, just like you did on Highway 1. I mean, there was water flow through there. I think that was the problem of getting the concrete culvert in there, is because you had to stop the water flow. So with that being said, could you go off the back side of that and just continue with a new road in sense? That is putting in the tiling where you were talking about.
I mean, to me, it sounds like the big deal is to get the DHEC monkey off the back. I'm not DHEC, I'm sorry. Well, that's, the dam regulation part resolved, that if that weren't there, this would already been fixed. And you don't have to answer, because that makes you guys not be able to ride in the car together on the way back to Columbia.
Well, I'll answer the part with Andy. If you go off alignment, if we go off alignment and we built another half of the road, my background's in construction. What we wind up having to do then is we would start filling wetlands. We would have to get a Corps permit. We'd have to get all these other permits, and then you're talking about pushing it even further down. So my opinion, the answer is to get the issue resolved on the existing alignment, figure out what we need to do the repairs, extend the culvert, put in new pipes, do whatever we need to do there, and then we can rock and roll. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
What kind of time frame, if you went with the option A that you just gave us, what kind of time frame? From what Mr. Kyle was saying, if you went with the...
You just call me Kyle.
Well, I'm Mr. Kyle. I'm trying to get the road opened up, so give him some... Yeah. So Kyle, if just with the option you just told us, how long if you started tomorrow working on it, or whenever, with that option, how long would it take to open the road up?
Let's just talk through it, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so... That's what we're talking about now.
Y'all let him answer the question. We'll get him another one.
All right, we're in the process now of doing we can do geotech design. So you give them a couple months to get a geotech design, and then you're talking about, it depends on how we would do a contract, and you don't shoot me, but you can step in. If we let an emergency contract to do a design, we could tell them, and actually, you correct me if I'm wrong too, you're talking about what, two or three months to get a design done on the alignment. And of course, we still would have to go through the environmental, because we're still going to be impacting it. So, I mean, you're still going to drag it out because of just the hurdles, but the construction itself, it would. I know at Bethea Road, once we got to go ahead, the contractor had it knocked out, and that was building the dam, putting in a new culvert, which I mean, that was within 4 months when construction started. That's what their plan is, to get it done in 4 months, and but it's just the hurdles to get to that point is where we are.
So I'm sorry, my mind just works this way. So if y'all are taking court action, John, you expect to have an answer that's either going to result in the road being repaired by the private landowner, or the court declaring that it's no longer a dam? Is that what I understand? And it's a simple, I thought, question.
No, the court's not going to be the one to declare it's no longer a dam. We would go to court to have that order enforced. Essentially, the owner has to hire an engineer to assess that dam. During that process, they could determine that this, as is, qualifies for exemption.
But they haven't done anything in 3 years, so let's assume you're not going to get a response out of that. So what's the next option if you get no response?
So if we get no response by the end of the year, we petition the court, which is the administrative law court, which is the state court that handles most state government regulatory matters. We get pretty quick hearing dates in that court, so we would expect fairly quick court appearance, unlike circuit court where it can take years. So we at least have the benefit of the administrative law court as the venue for that enforcement action. Now, once it gets to court, again, the dam owners have to hire an attorney.
But let's just assume they don't do any of that. So what happens? You get no response. You take it to the administrative law court. You get no response. So what does the judge bang the gavel?
At that point, you show up when a court orders it, or you go to jail, I guess. I mean, I'm no lawyer, but
no, they don't put you in jail for civil matters, not yet. Okay. Well, I just was trying to get to where is there some point to where they'd say, okay, this isn't a dam anymore. Let's fix the road. I mean, it's the same question.
The judge is there to make the owners comply with our order, and if they can't do that, then they are in contempt of court, and that's resolved just like any other matter. I really shouldn't be talking about legal stuff because I'm not an attorney.
I've written these down, Mr. Chairman, so different people have asked different questions. Did the Highway Department receive FEMA funds for the damage to the road like other governments did? And could that money, because I think they did, can that money be used to help with the repairs instead of us having to go get private donors to fix state highways?
Again, we're back to the initial question. Can government funds go on a private thing? The answer is no.
Well, they gave you money for the damage to the private
They gave us money for road repairs, and that is more of a reimbursement type program. So we fix it, they pay. So on this one, we have not fixed it, and because of the amount of time, we likely will not get any type of federal assistance on that.
That's all I had written down, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, that was a temporary bridge, Tammy. We could probably get it across the span. The issue is, like on Academy and here on Old Wire, there's other washouts that are out there that are in what DHEC would consider the dam portion. The field itself is considered a dam, so we couldn't repair those without getting a design and them telling us, specking out what they what would be needed, and the property owner would have to do those repairs. If,
I can't comment on what may or may not happen, what the judge may rule, or but I do know in certain situations we've been able to negotiate basically like a settlement where where all the parties agree on a solution that gets us out of court, and I'm optimistic that once we get to court, once that ownership question has been put to rest, and it's clear that yes, these parties are the dam owners. At that time, we can go back to DOT. DOT will still be willing to do the work once those owners accept that they own the dam, and DOT will then do the work to essentially decommission the dam and put a bridge or pipe or culvert and reopen the roadway. I think that's the best solution. That's the best path we can hope for.
Well, as far as the dam, is there different regulations for different sizes, different classifications for the for dams? Where does this classify versus others? That's just, I consider it almost like a road bed.
These are both high hazard dams, so they are subject to the highest standards for repair. Removal would be much easier, much less expensive, but to repair these dams will be a very expensive project, and again, with financial hardship on the part of the owners, and DOT being willing to do the work to decommission these dams, I'm hopeful that will be the path that we ultimately end up on. But it's up to the dam owners.
Okay. You telling us you cannot make that dam owner do anything, right?
We're following the process that the only thing we have at our option is issuing an order. We're following that process.
Well, how can you come tell me I have to remove these trees off of my dam and I have to do this off of my dam? You're regulating that dam. So you can tell him to repair this dam in 30 days or start repairs in 30 days, or the state will take over, or DHEC, I'm sorry, will take over this dam. Why is it not been? You have not did that. You tell me I have to remove these trees off of my water side. Well, off my runoff side, not my water side. I understand why. You can regulate to me that. You can't regulate to this guy that he needs to fix this dam, or either you take over. I don't understand.
Well, the first difference is you admit and accept that you are the dam owner. That's the biggest issue right here is when you have someone who refuses to accept that they own the dam. I mean, we have to go to court.
I think Mr. Munlin here and Mr. Steen could go back to our county records, to our courthouse, and tell you exactly who owns it.
And we have all those records.
Right.
We've looked at them.
See?
But that's.
I mean, you can tell me, you can look on GSI and tell the land I own and what I pay taxes on. So why can't you find out for sure who owns the land?
Well, we have who we believe. We have our position, but the owner has a different position. And yes, we've done the research. We've looked at the plats and the deeds and the right-of-way documents. We have to that has to go to court to be resolved, essentially, is what it comes down to.
So
it's the reality of.
take care of my dam. Is there really nothing you take care of?
If you deny ownership, it could go to that, reach that point.
And I already been told that. And you said it's 33 foot from the center line. Control. I don't say no. Right? That's a 66 foot right of way. Right? I know I am because I looked it up earlier today.
It could be.
It's 33 foot.
It changes, but that's pretty typical. Yes, sir.
So, why don't the state own on that property, that 33 foot?
All we have is a right to maintain a road on top of that dam.
On top. So, I own a half a mile. I own a half a mile on Ebenezer Road, right side of the road. You telling me you own the top of that road, I own everything under it.
No, sir, I'm not telling you that.
What's the difference in this dam?
Because we do not own any dams. We have roads that exist by easement. We have roads that we own the property, that we own that 33 feet you're talking about. Sometimes we own it, sometimes we don't. Most often we own it, but it is not uncommon for us to be there by an easement, which is what happens on not just dam, but any other dam in the state.
I think we just getting to run around.
DOT. That's the process we're in the middle of now. Doesn't matter. He's got rights, we've got rights. We've got to give it that time frame.
Okay, well, we got the janitor breathing down our neck over here, so,
Yeah,
well, I tried that.
I just want to know, when we built the road, there was ownership of the dam. We had to get permission to build the road, to lay there, right?
That's right.
You don't know who that was?
According to our record, yeah, we know who it is. They dispute that.
I don't want to, I mean, I know we've been here for a little while and thank everybody and don't want to cut anybody off, but how about this? You know, I called for this meeting here and, you know, just to get here to a place where we say start, because it sounds like there's been some things going on, but what if we organize a meeting with DHEC, SCDOT, and the landowner that you have the records of? If I set that meeting up and, you know, our administrator said, look, could we have another, you know, could we meet and see if we can't get some resolution out of this? You know, it's, from the way it sounds is, even if it went to court, we're going to be in it a long time. We don't want to be in it a long time. So if there another meeting, you know, I know time is valuable. I know that everybody's busy. DHEC's busy. This is not the only road you have out, but this is the road that's important to all of us and all of us here. So, you know, so the question is, you know, if we set the meeting up, would you know, with DHEC and DOT, if we could get a meeting to try to get it resolved in a hurry? I know you sent a letter, but you know, I mean, within 90 days, we're talking about still 60 more days. So if we could set a meeting up in 14, maybe we could have at least 14 days. You know, 60 days sooner to have a start on the road opening back up.
The dam owners were aware of the meeting tonight, and in my experience in the other areas, it has not been productive for them to be thrown into a public forum like this.
No, I wouldn't have a public forum. I try to get it just where we could get it, ask it for DOT,
Sure.
even if we,
we want to help you however we can, and so, and I know DHEC's the same way. If there's a meeting, we'll be happy to try and attend. Again, nothing against the folks sitting out here, but we've had a couple dam owners, tarred and feathered and driven out the room basically over these issues, so that's not fair to them.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be unfair to any dam owner, landowner, anything, but if, I think they, I think I speak for they as I live here too, is if we could come together for the senses of the better or the good, that's what everybody wants. So if it's just 4 people, if it's, DHEC, DOT, the landowner, and if I have to do whatever, I mean, if there's 4 people, if we could come out with something, at least there would be a resolution. That's what we want to try to come forward.
And Kyle touched on this earlier, when we had these hundreds of roads closed, our first option, let's get them open as quick as we can and as safely as we can. So, that's why we've been engaged with Representative Henegan so long, is that whatever local help we can get, we all in this together. Y'all want to see it open. Y'all are affected by it every day. For me, it's those 12 roads, and Ashley, we see those hanging over our heads every day that, we haven't been able to get open. So we're as anxious to see those open and moved on. So if we can help, we'll be happy to sit in there. I don't know what our role is.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the citizens want to hear is, we're going to move and we're not going to stop. So as the representative for District 1, I'll get a meeting with the landowner, with DHEC, with DOT, and if we have to get our delegation, whoever involved, we'll have a meeting and we'll try to keep it moving, and I'll inform you however it needs to be. If we need to come back in here again and give an update, we'll do that. That's kind of where we want to be. So how does that sound? I don't want to take everybody's time, but we want to move forward. So, well, like I said, I do want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thank everybody for taking their time. It is near and dear to our heart. So tomorrow I asked the administrator if he can get in touch with everybody. I think we have documents of who owns what, and we'll keep the ball rolling. Is that good? All right. Safe travels, and we'll see y'all later.